Good morning. I just want to reiterate Ben and Don and Steve's thanks for joining us here today out of your busy schedules to really learn more about Pinterest and what we can do for your business. So thank you for spending the time with us. Since I joined Pinterest about 7 months ago on the partner team, the focus of a lot of my work has actually been to have many discussions with partners, a lot of whom are in the room today, to understand why do they use Pinterest, what do they get out of it, and what are they doing that works. And there's a very consistent theme that I've heard out of a lot of those conversations, which is this. Typically, the reason why partners get started with Pinterest is because they actually see users pinning their own things onto Pinterest, building those things into their collections, coming back to the partner sites, doing things like, buying products, collecting more recipes, and partners are getting so much value out of those experiences and that customer engagement that they want to think about ways to inspire even more pinning from the same users and from more people. And so what I'd like to share with you this morning is that journey of what are some of the best companies in the world doing to inspire their audiences to pin. And where I want to start is with a notion that Bridget and Ben have talked about this morning, which is the notion of the pin a button. And if we leave you with nothing else today, it's the point that integrating the pin a button into your websites and now your mobile apps is probably the most leveraged and simplest thing that you can do to help your audience pin more. And so what we see now is that some of the best websites in the world are inviting you to pin wherever you are. Whether you're looking for a summer outfit, whether you're searching for your favorite product, whether you're looking for some really expensive inspiration, whether you're looking for something that you've loved in the past, or perhaps something that you're looking forward to doing in the future. So why do businesses do this? Why is this so important to them? And for a lot of our partners, truly the answer lies in the data. Later on today, you'll hear more about this tool. It's called Pinterest Web Analytics, which we launched about 2 or 3 months ago. And what you're seeing here is basically a graph of all the pins that users are creating on your behalf from your website. And for partners who have taken a look at this data over time, they've learned a very important insight, which is the more people pin, the more opportunities there are for more people to see those pins and engage with them on Pinterest, the more traffic that gets back to your site, and ultimately the more opportunities you have to engage with those customers and really own that customer experience. So partners who have spent a lot of time understanding this data are now pushing the needle forward in terms of innovating the pin a button and making Pinterest really work for them in their own sites. Whether it's highlighting pin it in a really prominent way where it makes a ton of sense, or thinking about how the pin a button can work within a special layout on your site, or in some cases where you have multiple properties that have a ton of really awesome, engaging, pinnable content, making sure that whether it's on your product pages, on your community sites, or on your blogs, that customers have a way to collect that, to pin it, and share it into their own collections. Or in other cases where there's pretty limited real estate and you might not have the option to provide customers that many choices to share, they choose the pin a button where it makes a ton of sense for the customer. And so I actually want to stop and talk about this. We know today there are many options to share. There's Facebook Share, there's Twitter, there's LinkedIn, there's StumbleUpon, there are a lot. And what we found is partners who derive a ton of value out of Pinterest understand that pinning onto Pinterest is fundamentally a very different exercise. When you're pinning onto Pinterest, you're not sharing with your friends, you're not just doing that. You're not just collecting it for yourself, you're not just saving it for later. What you're doing is you're creating important context around that object, what interest it's a part of, why it's important to you, and the most important thing, you're making it intensely discoverable to millions of other people in the world who might share a similar interest. And this is the next part of the journey. So partners who have really understood this concept, who have really embraced Pinterest, who have seen a ton of value out of it, have understood that, hey, the things that are getting pinned a lot from my site a lot of people are interested in that on Pinterest. It might be that a lot of other of my customers might also be interested in that as well. And so what they've done is they're now dedicating really expensive parts of real estate on their own sites to highlight these top pinned items with the hopes that these items will also resonate with more of their customers. And so you see this happening actually more and more, whether it's a retailer or a lifestyle brand. What they realized is this really important notion that things that are most pinned, that are most popular on Pinterest, are actually a really important signal of quality items that could be really interesting to more of their audience. And so partners are now taking even greater steps to get the word out about their top pinned items. So this is one of my favorite examples where this is an email from a retailer called Mothcloth, where they've said, hey, these are our top pinned items. Come check them out on our website. Other partners have actually gotten really innovative with email as well. And they basically encourage the customers to pin directly from the email. How many times have you received an email from a brand and you're like, oh, it's great. I promise I'll remember to look at it later. Now what they're doing is they're actually helping customers fulfill on those desires to save something and return to it later on Pinterest. This is one of my favorite examples, which Ben showed earlier. So Sephora was one of the earliest adopters of Pinterest. And in this webpage that they launched on their site, what you see is they're not just teaching their users how to use the product, they're actually reminding their customers, their clients, all the things that you can pin about beauty, whether it's lipstick or nails or foundation. And probably my favorite example of how a collection of partners are actually banding together to inspire pinning at scale is the MyPlate program. So for those of you who aren't familiar, this was a program that a bunch of the top, most popular, innovative recipe sites in the country band together to inspire pinning around some of the healthiest recipes that they could find. And so what they did was on their own web properties, they highlighted these recipes that were healthy, encouraged users to create their own collections of healthy recipes. And several months later today, more than 350,000 recipes have been pinned by all of these collections of partners. So what's next? I think if I could leave you with only one concept today, as you think about ways to make Pinterest work for you and your business, I'd invite you to think about how you can make your site work for pinners and how you can inspire more pinning. Thank you.